Good afternoon, Future Gen. It's day 4 of Chiropractors, the original Quacks, and we are talking today about Herbert Ross Reaver, the most jailed chiropractor. By 1931, there were more than 15,000 prosecutions for chiropractors for practicing medicine without a license, right? And the most important thing about this is that there were only, I think, about 12,000 chiropractors at the time. And so more prosecutions than there were actually chiropractors. And Herbert Ross Reaver, so kind of a tongue twister, he was the most jailed chiropractor. He was jailed 12 times. And what's interesting with him is, I got all this information from an article that was written in 1989. And I think he actually practiced for about 7 years of his lifetime, which is pretty amazing, and he's had a pretty amazing career in chiropractic too. And so I'm going to read some notes that I took from this article. And this guy was jailed 8 times in the first 8 years of practice. And I just think about it, like I'm literally in my 8.5 year of practice. And if I had been jailed every year in my first 8 years of practice, I don't know where I'd be right now, and it's pretty amazing that he spent 62 on top of that, serving in the position of chiropractor, saving a lot of people's lives in his community, and he didn't actually stay in jail. He went 8 times, paid the fine, and by the 9th time, he basically told himself that, he's like, by paying the fine, I'm actually admitting guilt. And so he never paid a single fine ever again. And so one of the things that chiropractor, go to jail for chiropractic, became a campaign for a lot of chiropractors because it became a matter of principle. I'm gonna read a quote from the second page, and it basically says, with Herbert Ross Reaver, I'm fighting for a principle, and someday I hope to see the Ohio law change so that those engaged in practicing chiropractic will get a fair deal. It's pretty profound, how much discrimination our profession has received, throughout our history. And licensure in 1974 was I honestly don't think it was the end of it. And so one of the things that I was thinking about, reading through the article, was that he went to jail. One of his fines was for 6 months. He went to jail for 6 months, and his fine was $500. I can't remember the date for that, but back then, obviously, it's a lot of money. And he remembers a case where, being in jail, that somebody was actually let out in 30 days, and his charge was actually child abuse and domestic violence and things like that. And so chiropractors were put on a completely different scale in terms of the law, right? Why this is important, one of the things that I have been coming to grips with, getting to that stage, we just hired our first associate. I think I said that in previous videos, but we just hired our first associate, and I've never actually felt old in practice until now. And I'm 8.5 years in practice, almost 9 years in practice, and you start to realize that you start getting questions about clinical stuff. You start, we're very present, obviously, in the kind of preconception, pregnancy, and pediatric chiropractic world. And you start to get and field all these questions from people, and you're like, wait, I guess I'm not new in practice anymore. And I asked myself this question reading this article. I was like, would you go to jail for a principle? What would you go to jail for, right? People, the world divides from beliefs, right? I've been to war. I've been to Iraq. I went to Iraq in 2003. And so beliefs and perspectives literally will send you across the world and into battle for certain perspectives, right? And for us, we believe that, supporting and fighting America's wars and things like that, and fighting for freedom and those types of things are really important, because when you get to the end of this article, it's almost exactly what Herbert Ross Reaver says. He says, I want to try this to see if something will come of it, to see if the folks in my community are willing for this injustice to chiropractors to continue, to see if, in these times of national stress, it is a criminal offense to get sick people well. I sincerely hope it will be a good contribution toward health freedom. And so even then, Dr. Reaver was an activist, right? I think that quote comes from 1943, and that was like he had already been jailed several times, and then World War II hit, and I guess there was a lull because of the war, but then after that, he got jailed many more times when they actually remembered who he was, right? But I asked myself that question, would I go to jail for a principle? And I've been to war for a principle. And I would venture to say that, for me, this principle that we actually kind of subscribe to in our practice, and we build our entire clinical workup around, and we help people every single day kind of navigate these conditions and situations and health expression that in many cases and everywhere in the conventional medical world, they're just like, hey, you're kind of a lost cause. Actually, you're actually probably okay. Actually, there's nothing wrong with you. Your labs say you're perfectly normal. And I became grateful. I started to kind of well up with tears this morning thinking that I'm so incredibly grateful for men and women and pioneers in chiropractic like Dr. Reaver, because had they not had the conviction and the commitment to go to jail and to be kind of stripped of all of their freedoms for the principle of chiropractic wouldn't actually exist today, potentially, right? And so the lesson in all this, it became, the word then became commitment. And we're so committed to our patients in our office. And we actually ask about commitment in our new patient form because I spent 6 years of practice. I'm in my 9th year of practice, and I spent a good 6 years more committed to my patients than they were themselves, and all they wanted me to do was fix them, right? And what I've realized over the course of my career is that I can't fix somebody that doesn't want to be fixed and that can't fix themselves, right? It's all about inspiring that internal doctor, that innate intelligence in your body, that self-healing capacity in your body, that really the best thing you can do is lay on the table, but you also have to do the right things when you go home, right? And so it became a word about commitment. The lesson is about commitment and conviction and actually having something and living for something that you would actually either go to jail or die for, right? And so how do you apply this? Where in your world, across the whole of your life, could you be more committed? Especially when it relates to your health. Because you could ask the richest people in the world, without your health, what are your riches worth, right? Or the career-driven or the purpose-driven people, if you don't have your health, what's the point of your actual purpose, right? If you can't sustain it. Or the people that have, for me, it's one of those things where it's all that external stuff that we get focused on, that the TV commercials in Hollywood and all these people try to tell you are the most important, but in reality, what's the most important is your health, right? So where in your world can you be more committed to your health? Because it's not about this generation and it's not about this condition. It's about, for our practice, we're called future generations for a reason. Because we know that based upon our research that all of these health challenges can change in one lifetime. And that's what we see every day in our practice, right? And so the other question is where can you have more gratitude? Where in your world have people sacrificed something so great that's so unfathomable today? Like chiropractors going to jail for practicing, just being in practice. Imagine that every day you walk up, your doors are locked, police are there waiting for you, or every day you have, windows broken because people are trying to shut you down, right? Where in your world have people sacrificed for you to give you what you actually are so blessed with today, right? Being in this practice, one of the things that is most important for me or most significant for me is about maybe 4 years ago or so, I started to really, really concentrate on taking care of expectant moms, right? And I was floored because I was about 35 years old and I realized, I was like, man, I'm getting this weird visceral feeling. And the visceral feeling was that I'm like, wow, I think I'm really getting an idea of how being grateful for my mom is and what she actually did for me to actually have the life that I do, not only work and stay-at-home mom and my dad and all the things that they provided from a financial perspective, but just my mom's pure, she grew me, right? And so I think that's the two lessons. Number one, how do you apply it? Where can you be more committed? or where can you recognize people that have been committed, that actually sacrificed for you, that you can actually be grateful for. Right? And then what I want you to do next, I want you to share this video. I want you to share this video. I want you to, if you're in San Diego and you do have a chiropractor, thank them for all the things that they do and have them understand that Dr. Reaver and other chiropractors went to jail so that they can practice today. If you don't have a chiropractor, give our office a call. We would love to take care of you. It would be our greatest honor. And we hope you've enjoyed day 4 of Chiropractor's Original Quacks. And tune in tomorrow for the last day. I promise it's going to be awesome.